First of all, good morning to everyone. Thank all of you for coming here today. We wanted to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about our juveniles and curfew. I wanted to, today, our main focus is to educate the public on there is always been a curfew. And I was out this weekend at an event and someone said, I'm glad you're bringing the curfew back. The curfew never went anywhere. Today we want to educate parents and guardians if you have juveniles that they should be in at a certain time. Growing up in my community, I knew when my curfew was, is when the street lights came on. Around 9:15 in the summertime, my mother it was in earshot. So we want to, this is an opportunity to educate the public. There is a curfew. And people say, well, what about during the day? Well, during school time, that's truancy, and that's another whole issue. But right now, we're going to focus on educating the public on what's available, what's out there as it relates to juveniles in the curfew. So Guy and his team, Chief and I, we've come up. We don't want to just put this out there to the public without saying, well, what can we do? How can we help? And that's what we want to provide for them today. So just wanted to say that. I know growing up for me, my friends and I were very well aware of the paddy wagon. Growing up, I came from that time where you knew at a certain time when you see the paddy wagon coming around, it must be time for us juveniles that we're under 18 to get home. And then again, my mother was my main enforcer of curfew. No matter where I was going, she wanted to know what time I was going to be back, who was going to be the adult with me, and if I didn't have an adult, I probably was not going. So, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to highlight a couple of points regarding the implementation of this juvenile curfew. But let me be clear, these measures are not intended to be punitive or punish our young people. This is a proactive step intended to safeguard the well-being of our young people and to reduce juvenile crime within our city. This curfew, unannounced, will be enforced between the hours of 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. This is for all young people aged 17 and under. But most important, parents are going to have to step up and take an active role in knowing their children's whereabouts and activities during these curfew hours. Parental involvement is going to be paramount. We are going to need parents to be partners in this endeavor, and together I believe we can create a safer environment for our children and our city. The Youngstown Police Department remains committed to providing resources and support to families to help them comply with the curfew. These resources will include informational materials and community outreach programs. And I am optimistic that the juvenile curfew, along with strong parental cooperation, will yield positive results in reducing juvenile crime in our city.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Guy Burney. I'm the director of the Community Initiative to Reduce Violence, and I'm appreciative of this time that we're educating our community. Just this past weekend, at one of our local bars, there was a curfew arrest of a young person downtown after 11 p.m., around 11:30, and our officers had to intervene. Why do they have to intervene? Because if something happens at that place that involves adults, this child, this young person, could be an innocent bystander. And so it is critical, as the Chief said, that parents be involved in this process. Authority is not about punishment, it's about protection. And so if we administer authority properly, we protect our young people and not hurt them. And so that's what we're going to do. But we're just not doing it in terms of enforcement. We're doing it in terms of resources and giving people and parents what they need. And so it is critical. It's a critical element that we continue to do this. Our team will be riding with officers to intervene when we have to make sure that resources are done properly. But again, it's critical that there is consequences for choices. I was reminded as I was talking on a radio station, there was a long time ago, there was a commercial, and it said, it's 11 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Yeah. Right? And not only do you know where they are, I'm going to add, do you know who they're with? Because even though they may not be getting themselves into trouble, if they are with the wrong people, it can cause havoc in your family's life. And so this is an opportunity that we have to continue to try to keep our young people safe. And so we're appreciative. And we have partners everywhere. And so, Ms. Juvenile, you want to come on up?
Sure.
With Juvenile, and
Yes.
they're one of our partners as well. So.
Yes, thank you, Guy. Thank you, Mayor, Chief. So my name's Gina DiGenova. I'm a magistrate for Judge Delick, and I'm here just to say a few things on her behalf. The juvenile court works in conjunction with Youngstown on these matters. I can tell you that our probation department will also be available to work hand in hand. Our chief probation officer, Tim Novak, he and his team will be conducting night visits during the summer for those individuals who are on probation. So this is a message to everyone out there who's on probation. These students, be where you're supposed to be, because our probation officers are going to be coming and checking on you. And if you are not at home during the curfew period, that could have an impact on your probation. Also, we want to assist and help these juveniles get the services they need. So if there's charges that are brought and the juveniles come within our jurisdiction, that gives us the ability to administer services. We've got services, we've got diversion, we've got assistance that could help parents who are struggling, and we also have the ability to hold the parents accountable as well. We have the ability to get CSB involved if we find that there's a neglect situation going on in the home, and that's the reason why the children aren't where they're supposed to be. We have the ability to do drug and alcohol assessment. We have counseling services that we have available in our court, and we have the ability to have community control sanctions imposed, so community service. So we want to assist in any way that we can, and I can tell you, my mother said it to me, and I said it to my daughter, and I'm sure that everyone's saying it to their kids. Nothing good goes on after 11 o'clock. And so when you're at home and you're where you're supposed to be, you're not out being subjected to becoming a victim of crime or getting involved in crime where you become an offender and then something more serious happens. So I commend Youngstown, and I just want to say the juvenile court, we are here and we want to work hand in hand in helping these juveniles get where they're supposed to be and stay where they are and be safe. Thank you.
Anything else? Questions?
Why do this now instead of May, when the kids got or late May?
So it's always been intact. This is us letting the community know. As I said, there was a curfew arrest this past weekend before we did this announcement. So it's always been in place. This is just, again, we feel like it's important for community and parents to understand more than anything that there is a curfew in place.
Yeah. Leslie, we're getting to the point, you got festival seasons, you got a lot more events happening where juveniles want to go out. We just want to make the parents aware that if you're letting them out or going to different places, they should be accompanied by an adult. So it's just, our timing is just a matter of, we just want to make sure we educate the public on that's still there. It's never gone anywhere. This is our way of saying educate the public on what needs to happen.
Do you think there'll be more officers out on the streets patrolling and then reinforcing it this time?
Yes, there will.
Do you know how many are in what area?
No, I won't go into the exact. We'll be out.
Have we noticed that some kind of an increase in juvenile-related crime or juvenile-related problems that led you to want to remind people and reinforce this?
Chief, you want to talk a little bit about our numbers and what we see? We just real quick, I know that we see a lot of the numbers of when we see young men and women, we see the ages are under 18 at some point, whether they're the victim and or the offender. So we see it, it's across the board, and we just want to make sure we continue to partner with Juvenile to make sure that we understand that as a team and a partner, here's what we're going to deal with for them. If anything we want to do is deter the young people to know that this is something we are aware of, but that they don't have the opportunity to be out as adults. They're not adults.
Right.
And just to touch on that, several of the homicides that have occurred in the city this year, we've had 2 that were 18-year-old victims, 18, 19-year-old victims. But it's come to our attention that some of the suspects possibly involved were juveniles. So this is why this is where our focus is where it's at right now.
And there have also
Yes.
been certainly some, vehicle break-ins and things
Yes.
like that. We're seeing
Yeah.
that countywide, and a lot of
Mhm.
those are juvenile offenders.
Yeah, it's a trend. It was the Kia boys, and now it just and this unfortunately this is and so we want to get out ahead of it.
Sure. You've made it clear that obviously nothing's changing, nothing's new. There's no new announcement from like new hours, new ages. Is that something that you would consider in the future, or something you did consider when planning for this press conference? Just if it doesn't get better because parents aren't telling their kids, oh, they need to be home by this time, is that something you would move into in the future if it doesn't improve?
Yeah, I think we'll work with our partners, because it will work if everyone will do their part. I think if all the parents and guardians will do their part and make sure the juveniles are accounted for. I think for me, it starts at home. And we want home if home would do, a little better in making sure that, I didn't realize that, at 17, they can't be out by themselves. So I think this is going to be a great opportunity for us to partner, and we'll look at what that happens working with our juvenile department to see how those trends are working for us. But it works at the time when the parents and the home life are together.
From a resource standpoint, we can assist parents in a lot of things with their supports, but we cannot replace them.
Joe?
I was just curious, is there any, if somebody has a job and they're coming home from work, or is there a section for it, or like they have
Yes.
playing sports and have a game?
Yes.
All right, that's all. Okay,
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
there's exceptions for kids who have work permits, who are coming home after hours, and all they have to do is, if they are stopped.
All right, okay, all right, thank you.
I got a
Councilwoman?
question, yeah. So how strictly are you gonna hold the parents accountable? I mean, are you gonna give them warning after warning, or are you gonna or in conjunction with the judicial system, are we gonna hold the parents accountable? Because that is, you keep saying that's where it begins, but if there's no repercussions, we're talking about, don't wanna be punitive, but if there are no repercussions, we're just gonna have an endless cycle, revolving door of pick the kid up, take the kid home, pick the kid up, take him home, or something finally gonna be done to make the parents be accountable, do their part, and not just on a voluntary basis, but on a
That's a good
strict
question
basis.
for the law.
Sure, absolutely. So,
That's not a law enforcement question,
Yeah.
that's a judicial.
Judicial, that's right.
well, it's a charging issue, so the ordinance provides for a section where parents can be charged. The
Okay.
first charge, because I read the ordinance, and it's a minor misdemeanor. Second offense within a year, it could be increased to an M1, a misdemeanor 1. From a court's perspective, we can't go out and charge people ourselves, but if those charges are brought to the court, we will review each case. And we have had in the past situations where parents did receive a term of incarceration because we had repeat offenders and the facts justified that sanction. So it all depends. I mean, if those charges are brought to us, we will review them and we will give it its due attention.
So, may I follow up? Okay. So so the first step would be on the part of law enforcement to cite them?
Well, in any
Or is
case,
it gonna be
yes.
an arrest?
We don't,
I don't know,
sure,
I'm
sure.
out of it now, so.
Absolutely.
Is
Well-
it a ticket first, or is it an on-site arrest? So I'm out of it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, it's an arrest, and an arrest, a citation could also be considered an
Okay.
arrest. So yes, and then from there it goes to the prosecutor, and then they determine.
So are we gonna have like a zero tolerance on the part of the parents and not giving them a warning first? Because this is the warning that we're giving them right now that says, straighten up, do your part, parent, and then the police and the courts do their part?
I think for me, I would, when you say zero tolerance, it's like, hey, nobody gives me a chance. I think this is they're saying, hey, help work with us. And there's circumstances with parents out there that you're gonna work with them. Our officers that are on the street, they know where the repeat offenders are, and if it continues to be ignored. I don't think if a parent shows us that they're gonna help with and supporting and making sure that doesn't happen again, or if they just kinda say, hey, you deal with it, then we have to take those steps forward. So I think it's on a case by case. I don't want to put that blanket out there and say a mom who's working a second shift and the kid gets out and just wants to hang out past the time that mom told him to be in. I was a latchkey kid. My mother worked, and I understood that if I needed to be in at this time, and did I always get there? No. But if you would have gone to my mother and said, hey, he was out past this time, she would have told you, it won't happen again. And I would tell her it won't happen again because I know why. So I think the accountability, if we can see the parents are willing to be a participant of this and not just saying, hey, it's your problem, city or juvenile, then we'll work with it.
And one nice thing too is we have services, so if we get jurisdiction over one of these cases and we find a family in need of those services, we can assist. We've got mental health services, we've got drug and alcohol services, we've got a lot of resources within our court system that can assist some parents. Sometimes they're overwhelmed, sometimes they just need some assistance or some education, and we're willing and able to do that once they're within our jurisdiction.
There you go.
So, now I'll be done.
Okay.
So, will it be the preferred policy of one warning and then a citation or something? Would that be the preferred and not multiple warnings?
Yeah, I don't
Because
want
I just don't wanna see the cycle.
Yeah, I hear I think I understand where you're going. I don't want to say that, it's going to be one way or it's going to be a cookie cutter. That one parent that we come across, it may never happen again. And then this might not be the first time that this parent's been involved, or they may actually have something going on with juvenile already. So I think our officers will use their professional discretion out there. I know they don't want to continue to chase the same kids around, but I think we make sure we're clear. Parents do their part. These conversations won't continue to happen. And if there's services that they need, if we want to help them, we want to make sure that we're support for them. And I think that's the message today. We want to educate them, and we want to make sure that we're support for the family, so we don't have repeat offenders.
To follow up on that, I've spoken to other police departments who have mentioned kind of the opposite problem, which is parents sometimes trying to use the police as parents, and you've kind of touched on that. How do you kind of avoid that, and what resources are available to maybe help them understand when it's actually appropriate to get police involved if they're struggling to get their kid to stay in after curfew or whatever?
So that's a heavy question, that, because that's dealing with parenting.
Yeah.
Right? And so there are some parents, we'd rather a parent call than to just let a kid go. Right? But then there has to be education there because police are not parents. But at the same time, if the young person is on probation, if the young person is causing havoc in a neighborhood, then it's critical to get a hold of that early, and not wait. And oftentimes, neighbors, people keep their mouths shut. And that can't happen either, because then you miss it. So this kid, Chief catches him once, but he's been out for 3 months causing havoc in neighborhoods. Well, at that point, we need neighbors, parents, community to speak up, because this kid needs help. Now remember, we're talking about 17 and under.
Right.
And so I believe there's always opportunity and chances, but there has to be consequences for choices. Choices are long-lasting and life-changing. And so when we give the correct consequences, we can shift behaviors. And so I think what the mayor said, it's person by person, but it's also a lot of education and a lot of connection. With that though, saying that, what we're doing is, through the school system, we're trying to work with parents as well. Because again, there's a lot of information that has to be had. But I repeat, the young people are parents' responsibilities. We can assist, we can resource, we cannot replace. We can't, you just can't. And so we want to make sure that happens. So that's a great question, but it's a lot, and we have to intervene. Again, probation, because remember, I know what people are talking about. We're talking about those young people who cause havoc. There's young people that we're going to see out that are not doing anything. And what we're trying to do is keep them from being victims. But then there's those young people, as you were talking about cars, and they're on the side of town, and they're going in abandoned houses, and it's a very small number. But those are the kids that we're going to get, because that's the next person on the news. That's the next young person in the newspaper. And so this is critical for them.
Yeah. Councilwoman, you said that was the last one, but I see it in your face. You got one more.
Because I do agree, you know, from my past, we're not the parent. And I just have to reiterate that there has to come a time when we take a little harder position so that the police officers aren't in this cycle of picking a kid up, taking him home, and an hour later he's back on the street. We can't be using our officers that way. And I would just like to see, know that it's gonna be something where it's not gonna be warning after warning. And I hate being a hard-nosed person, but we provide all these different things, and yet we still have this pattern of the police have to pick up the kid, take them home, because JJC's not gonna take them, okay? The JJC's not gonna take the parents, but somewhere in between there, the police can't be the ones to be that last stop. It has to be the parent.
Yeah.
And I just wanna make sure that we put the emphasis that you're the grown person, you're the one who chose to have these kids, and it's like, it's gotta stop with you. Start and stop with y'all.
I think the partnership that between SERV and the juvenile courts right now is strengthening. I think we all recognize that it's something we can continue to work on. I think your conversation is well taken, and everyone probably in this room understand what you're talking about. The issue is how do we get there. So we'll continue focusing on that. I would rather have my officers on all their beats versus stopping and taking the juvenile and knowing by if they're on A shift, by B shift, he's back home in the same neighborhood doing the same thing. So that's patterns and behaviors, and we want to work on those parents to help with patterns and behaviors. Okay? Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you.
Hi everyone, I'm Lindsay Watson. Thanks for watching the WKBN 27 First News YouTube channel. If you want more video news, subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the WKBN 27 First News app for breaking news alerts.